Well, hello there and good evening to you all. I just thought I'd come on and touch upon the incident that is ongoing with the helicopter crash and, well, the mid-air collision between the helicopter and the aircraft. Let me just turn my volume down because it's really in my ears. Ooh, that's a bit better, I think. Oh, that's better. I don't like it echoing in my ears. So, as you guys know, there's been a lot been unfolding in regards to the incident that occurred with the mid-air crash. Now, obviously, there is a whole bunch of information out there. Some of it is conspiracy theories, some of it is the facts, and some of it is speculation. So we have to go with the information that we have, and we'll try and fish out some of the more reputable bits of information that we have. So I kind of thought I'd start with really a timeline of events for what unfolded with this situation. So, obviously, on the screen here, you can see this is footage of the recovery that was from last night and or yesterday in the early hours of the morning through to through the day. So I thought I'd put that on. Hey Nick, I thought I'd put that on while I was talking away here. So you had a visual and not just my voice. It's a really tragic situation, and we were listening to Donald Trump yesterday, and that's questionable. We won't talk about that anymore because Donald Trump is a knob. So there's that, and there's that. So we know that a commercial passenger plane that had children on board as well as adults was heading for the Reagan National Airport, and it collided with the Black Hawk, an Army helicopter. Now, there has been, obviously, since I scheduled this live, more information regarding the situation, as in more footage from a different angle has been released. And it's very interesting to me. Now, obviously, I can only making an opinion on what I'm seeing, but I'm not an expert, but we'll get into that. Anyway, so we know that this Black Hawk helicopter was coming over the Potomac River, and the aircraft with 64 passengers on board, 60 passengers, 4 crew on board this craft, they collided as the plane was coming into land. Now, with the footage that we were originally seeing, you can see it kind of happening, and it just happens, and you see, a ball of fire as the collision happens. In this new one, you get a clearer definition of that helicopter, but obviously there was 3 on board the helicopter, and the 64, so they, as of yesterday, quite early on, were saying there were gonna be no survivors for this, okay? So, even if they had have survived the impact, what was being said quite early on is that they wouldn't have survived the cold water for any length of time, because if you've seen the river, you've seen that it is quite icy. So obviously this is now, or has been, a recovery mission. So what kind of happened? What did they say had happened? So the Americans Airlines flight is flight 5340, and it took off from Wichita Dwight Eisenhower National Airport, and it was bound for Washington, and it was scheduled to land at the Ronald Reagan, and it was supposed to come in at 9 p.m. So the 60 passengers were on board, and obviously, if you've ever flown before, you know there's procedures. You start to descend very slowly. You get into a position where you're approaching the runway so that you can make your landing. So you're all seat belted in, and the cabin crew do their last checks. And looking at where they were probably very, very well into that descent. And with aeroplanes, they're quite big, chunky things, and they're quite hard to maneuver. And I would imagine that with an aircraft that big, it wouldn't have stood any chance in maneuvering fast to try and even get out of the way. And that's if it even saw the helicopter. And I kind of just hope that actually that they didn't know anything when this happened, that that they were not aware that this was about to happen, so that when the mid-air collision happened, it was quick and nobody was aware, and nobody suffered. Let me just come to the chat. Hey, Donna. Hey, Fun. Parry 15. The person who told the Associated Press that there had been multiple deaths was not authorised to publicly discuss the details of the investigation and spoke to on the condition of being anonymous. Yeah, you're going to get that in everything, aren't you? It's one of those things, unfortunately. Information's going to come out all the time. That I've even seen footage what may have well been leaked from the air traffic control room, which if what we're hearing now is true, well, there's only really a few people that can be that has leaked that out. It is really just a horrendous case, isn't it? Like, I've never, I know I say it's just one of those things where it's another thing that I've not ever been witness to, and here we are. I mean, you always kind of think the last thing that you see will be the last thing that you're going to witness. The Twin Towers again was one of those one-off things, and you don't expect tragedies to happen, but in this situation, here we are with this tragedy, and it could have been avoided, I would say. I don't understand. I think as we go through and the more we hear, I think we're going to learn more, and I believe that this probably could have been avoided, and that's just my thoughts on it. Especially with the things that we're now hearing, that have been coming out. Thank you, Donna. Let me pop that on there. So let me just come back down to my little timeline. So actually, I'm going to change the screen so you can see all the dynamics in that I'm seeing. We'll come back to the screen in a minute, but I do like to share what I'm looking at, and then you can be part of it, can't you? No, that's not it. That's the one. So I can't see the chat at the minute. So as you can see, that's the flight path for the aircraft involved, and it's approximate. As I said, there were 60 passengers, 4 crew members on that aircraft. It was manufactured in 2004. So this just gives us a bit of details for anyone who's a bit of a techno junkie, or likes all the ins and outs of dynamics of the plane and details. So you've got the height, you've got the approximate length, and then you've got the UH-60 Black Hawk diameters as well. And in the newly released video, which I will show you, you can see the helicopter. You can determine which bit is which as the collisions happened and they separate, and you can clearly see the Black Hawk. But when you look at them, it's just tragic to think, isn't it? So maximum 78 passengers can be on the aircraft, and you've got your 4 crew. And with your Black Hawk, you can have a maximum of 11 troops and 3 to 4 crew. Now, I mean, when you look at these diameters and that, and you look at those propellers and things, they don't actually look that big on a picture. But I've seen Chinooks land at the at the hospital, in the air hospital heliport. I've seen the normal air ambulances, and I've seen the Coast Guard helicopters. They're all of different sizes, and I've seen how they go up. I've seen how they come down. I've had them waving at me in the window as they've come down because that's how low to my house they come. But them propellers are maffis. And when I say they're maffis, they are maffis. They're dangerous. And they are really quite big. And so don't be fooled by, any lack of damage by them, because they can do a lot of damage as well. But the sheer body and the weight of the helicopter, when I see them, I mean, I see them when they take off, they kind of go up and they hover a bit, and then they bend a bit forward and put the rear end up in the air a little bit, and then they start to go up, and then they straighten up, and then they go, and then they're off. And then when they actually come into land, I have to say, looking at the angle of this new video, I've got questions about that, because I see this on a regular basis outside my own window, and I've watched them go up and down. And when the helicopters come in, they don't come in on an angle. Like, they're not coming down, they're not facing up. They literally kind of hover down and come down and come down, and then as they get to the bottom, they might lower the sort of back end a little tiny bit, and then they come down, and then they kind of come on the floor. But in this new video, what you're seeing, and I will show you, is the helicopter looks like it's like going for it. Like, what the hell? So that's interesting to me, because I've got questions about that. Like, I feel like that has gone directly into it, um, and at speed. Now, when a helicopter's coming in, flying low like that, obviously, you're going to be looking at landing, and it's going to be a slower descent. That helicopter was woo, like, yeah. I know that the noise wasn't the best noise, but it looks quite fast to me. So I've questioned about that, because there's no way that should have been heading that way, and it clearly was. So the Black Hawk was on a training flight, and we know there was 3 on board. It was from the 12th Aviation Battalion, based out of the nearby Fort Belvoir, Virginia, and was traveling south over the Potomac River, just east of the DCA. And I suppose if you're coming in on a pathway where there is flights everywhere, I would have expected a bit of a, um, I don't know. It just looks like it was going quite fast to me for where it was. And I don't know. Its exact origin and takeoff time are unknown, and that was as of yesterday. This was. Now, the Black Hawk was on an annual proficiency training flight, according to the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, and he confirmed that the pilots were experienced and they were wearing the night vision goggles. And I've had a lot of people talking about these night vision goggles not being the best. Let me just check chat a minute. Big up, Donna. Whoop, whoop. Woohoo! I come up with all the randomest things coming out of me. Yeah, I come up with some random stuff, me, don't I? Woohoo! I don't know how else to describe. Woo! I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know. I can't make a helicopter noise. I should really. The amount of helicopters I've seen land past my house on the various occasions, but I'm not really quite sure. Not even sure that passes as a helicopter noise. We'll just stick with whoosh and woo. So, this is where we are at. It's when I show you the video, if you haven't seen it yet, you'll know exactly what I mean. I can't get my head around it. When you're trying to make something make sense, and I just cannot. So at approximately 8:42 p.m. their time, not our time, An American Airlines flight 5342 approaches the airport and it comes in contact with air traffic control about landing on runway 1, but the controllers ask the pilots to use runway 33 instead, and the pilots confirm the change and the aircraft is cleared to land. So they have been given the permission to do what they need to do. They've been moved from runway 1 over to runway 33. Then American Airlines flight says Tower Blue Streak 5342 on Mount Vernon Visual Runway 1, Blue Streak 5342 Washington Tower unaudible, 320 at 17 gusts, 25. Can you take runway 33? Several instructions then heard. AA flight 5342 says yes, we can do 33 for Blue Streak 5342. Sound like an air traffic controller, didn't I? Obviously, I wouldn't have the capabilities if Trump was going to employ me because I've got mental health issues, I've got physical bodied issues, and so I wouldn't make the cut, I'm afraid. Not that I would want to manage the skies. I've seen what them skies look like and they look horrendous to manage. So air traffic control confirms runway 33 is cleared. Cleared to land, off you go. So what else are they going to do? They've been given permission, it's been cleared. At approximately 8:47, the air traffic controller contacts the Black Hawk helicopter flying under the call signal PAT, which apparently is supposed to mean something to do with a person being on board. Priority forget the word that they use, but a priority passenger basically being on board, which there couldn't have been because there was that might have been the call sign they were using for training, maybe, because unless one of the soldiers was a priority, I can't see it. But PAT 2 to 5 to confirm it sees the American Airlines 5342. So that helicopter's allegedly saying we've seen the AA flight. Now, whether it is that flight they've seen is another flight or not is to be seen because that's the question. He refers to as CRJ based on the plane type CRJ 700. So if you've ever gone on to any of those radar 24s and you can click on the aircraft that you want to look at and it will give you a code like that and it will tell you if it's a military plane, it will tell you if it's a police plane, helicopter, whatever, and private plane, passenger plane, that kind of thing. Anyone can see that types of information, and I'll get it up and I'll show you in a minute. I often use them when we're following manhunts in the US and stuff when they've got their planes circulating. So air traffic control, PAT 25, do you have CRJ in sight? Air traffic control, PAT 25, pass behind the CRJ. And at this point, you're kind of thinking, what? And then the helicopter pilot says, PAT 25 has aircraft in sight, request visual separation. Now, I'm not an air traffic controller, and therefore I'm not sure exactly what he means by that. But less than 13 seconds later, the air traffic control transmission captures controllers gasping as the aircraft collide. Now, followed by the instructions to reroute the other traffic from the runway, oh my is heard from the control room. So I'm going to play these. If I haven't played them all, I will get them all. But I'm just going to play the ones here that are in the articles to start with.
CRJ in sight. At 25, pass is CRJ. This club has a aircraft in sight, precision separation.
Well, that's the worst audio I've ever heard in my life. It might not come too bad to you guys.
Washington Tower, 1 star, 32017. American 3130, go around, turn left in 250, claim maintain 3000.
that was very short and sweet. Let me just turn my volume down a bit much for my ears, in my own voice, here in my own head. So this is the pathway. So as you can see here, the preliminary flight tracker data shows the path of the aircraft. So you've got just south of the Reagan National Airport outside DC on Wednesday night. So you can see the pathway that the Army helicopter is coming in from, and then you can see the American Airlines flight there. Now, like you can see the runway, that with an aircraft, the lights are on, you can see them. That's what they're there for, so that anyone can see them incoming. I just kind of feel this aircraft might as well not have bothered having its lights on. So they said this map was previously mislabeled an area of Washington DC bordering Maryland. Flight paths and altitude readings are approximate. So this is how it shows you in this diagram. I thought this is quite a good diagram. Will it do it again? Yes. So in they come. Here comes one, here comes the other. And then, as you can see, that's the rough area of where the aircraft have collided with each other. Now, this looks more about the right way. It confused me in the other picture, because when you look at the new video, you'll see, it makes sense now. Makes you unnervy, doesn't it, when you see that? So we know that there's been some exclusive videos obtained by CNN, and I have got them to post on my TikTok later. I've been struggling to keep up with everything that's gone on today. So I've bumped out a couple of posts, and I had that many that I ended up posting about the missing girls on my backup, because there was just no way I was getting them out today, and I wanted to get them out, so they're on my backup now, the ones that are from Morocco that are here on exchange. And then there's a John George update. Honestly, trying to get, and you can't post them all at once. So, and then there's more information on this coming out. Like, it's really difficult to keep up to speed, but I'm doing my best. So, new information has come to light in terms of the video. Now, I think we're going to be able to watch it. I will give you a trigger warning though, because obviously you can see more definitively a helicopter and an airplane, and you can see as the Black Hawk goes into the water, and how the tail spins in if you look close enough. And so obviously, even though you're not seeing anything specific, like as in anything imagery wise, it's still upsetting, because that there are people on board the aircraft. So I'm just going to let you know that now. Hi, Michelle. I hope you're all right. Baby keeping you busy. Ah, bless. Yeah, she's so active. I've been. An active baby is a happy baby, as we used to say. Okay, so let's watch this new footage.
These videos, obtained exclusively by CNN, show previously unseen angles of the collision between an American Airlines flight and a US Army Black Hawk helicopter. In the first video, the Black Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left side of the screen. The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river. In a second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other. After the collision and subsequent explosion, the airliner can be seen spinning into the water, and the Black Hawk is also seen falling into the water.
So let me just go back.
These videos, obtained exclusively by CNN, show previously unseen angles of the collision between an American...
Look at... it's going to be a pain in the ass. the angle of that helicopter in the lighter side.
Airlines flight and a US Army Black Hawk helicopter. In the first video, the Black Hawk can be seen flying at speed over the Potomac from the left side of the screen. The American Airlines plane can be seen flying towards the airport before the two collide, causing a mid-air explosion and fall into the river. In the second video, you can see the Army helicopter and American Airlines plane travel toward each other. After the collision and subsequent explosion, the airliner can be seen spinning into the water, and the Black Hawk is also seen falling into the water.
So I don't know what you guys make of that. But in one of those videos, the angle looks quite angly, if you get what I mean. And it looks to me, now it's just what I am perceiving in the video that I'm seeing. And I could be completely off guard, I could be completely wrong. And I could be talking bollocks because I'm not an aircraft pilot, I'm not a helicopter pilot, I don't own a license. I'm not a specialist in this field. But to me, that looks like that was going way too fast and it was going in at an angle. And in one of the angles, it looks like it was aiming to head to the aeroplane. But that's just an angle. We have to remember that. But that's what it looks like. And if you're in a flight path near a bloody runway, why are you doing those training things in the flight's pathway like that? Like, I don't understand why you would be doing that. It seems crazy wild to me that in one of the most busiest parts of the flight paths, you'd have a training helicopter whizzing through there. And like they said, you know, they could have ducked. They could have gone under. They could have gone under. They were already at an angle. We can see that in that other video. And exactly, why were they actually training there? And so it has crossed my mind. Was this deliberate? Of course this has crossed my mind. And if we're going to go down any route other than an accident, is this intentional? Was it the intention of the pilot of the helicopter? Because that plane didn't stand a chance. Was it the intention to cause havoc and whatnot? Because we saw on New Year's Day, and this is just my thinking with my brain and my mouth running all over the place, but we saw that an ex-army soldier ploughed through US citizens in the white truck. We also saw the other one try and blow up a Tesla and try and unalive a lot of people, which failed miserably, by the way. The first one succeeded very well, but the second one wasn't as successful. But they're ex-army, and you know, you kind of think, well, it has something gone on here, because you know, we're now seeing of recent ex-army soldiers in the US committing acts of terror. So I'll put that out there on the shelf to revisit at some point, because we'll have to see, won't we? We'll have to see. We can't say that it is intentional because we don't know. Can't exclude it at this point. And obviously, when they start digging into the background and they start going to the homes and they start looking at the devices of these people, maybe we'll get some answers. Maybe there's nothing there and this was purely a tragic accident and there is somebody at fault. And I would imagine, looking at that, I would say it would be with the helicopter, because the plane was where it was supposed to be. It was given permission to land on runway 33. Permission is granted. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But they're my two things going through my head. I definitely feel the helicopter is at fault, but obviously no one can pay the price because they've all died anyway. They've paid the ultimate price in that helicopter. But we can't ever say that can't happen, because who'd have thought on New Year's Day in the early hours of the morning, we'd see an American ex-US soldier ploughing through a crowd of US citizens. The helicopter can move at different angles at speed, so the crash maybe couldn't have happened. A plane can't. No, it can't. It can. You know, it could move. You know, it can move on an angle. Do you know what I mean? Like it can move quite quickly. They can go up, down. They can even hover. They're quite scary, actually. I don't like them. You never get me on. I'd have to be in a really serious accident, unconscious and not knowing that you're putting me on a helicopter before you put me on one, because they just seem I just don't like them. Do we know who the pilot is? We do know their names. I'll go through some of those in a minute. But we do have a name for the pilots. But again, we have names for a lot of the victims on the plane as well. So at approximately 8:48, the air traffic control in DC alerts another pilot to what's taken place, and the pilot can be heard saying, "Yeah, we are on short final, and we saw flares from the opposite side of the Potomac." Now, what we have learnt today that we, wasn't out yesterday, was that the air traffic control we knew yesterday was understaffed, but what we didn't know was that one of the members of staff was allowed to go home early. And also there'd have been a near miss previously, the previous day. So this is more air traffic control.
A disabled aircraft or something like that? I believe an incident with a helicopter. Yeah, we are on short final. We saw flares from the opposite side of the Potomac. I'm going to make a call for you. Let me know when you're ready to go to Dulles. Apparently both aircraft involved are in the river, so search and rescue operation will be ongoing from the... And Blue Street 5273, yeah, there are no times yet. Talking to personnel here, but they are preparing to divert to Dulles. All right, yeah, we'll get on the horn company. We're planning to divert to Dulles, so we can go ahead and put that on file with you whenever you have time. 5273, Roger. So just confirm you want to just divert now? Affirm. We'll just divert now. Looks like this is going to take a while. And yeah, for 5273, yeah, we'll go ahead and just divert now. If there's no estimated time, we only have about 10 minutes to play with as it is. Hey, bro, it's supposed to be 5302. We'll go ahead and put our name in the hat to head Dulles whenever you can send us.
So that was that bit of information there. Bit of information regarding fatalities per flight phase from 2008 to 2023. And, the most dodgy looking time, according to this graph, is on approach. Now, at approximately 8:53, it's heard, and there is footage of this. I don't know whether or not you'll be able to hear it on here, but I will find it. If not, that you can hear them saying crash, crash, crash. This is an alert 3. It's quite it's quite hard to listen to because it's like panic. Okay, let me see. So let's have a look. Now, they were supposed to hold a new briefing, but they hadn't yet. Let me just check on Sky. Oh, hang on. We have. We can go to the briefing, I think. We're a fraction behind, but let's go to the briefing. Let's swap screens. Don't want that. It's definitely a very clever position to have. Like, you've got to be proper on it, like clever. I couldn't do it. But take my hat off to them because, they get you there and get you home again safely in most cases. And obviously, we know car crashes are more prevalent. It is actually safer to be in the sky.
People from the city, including DC's mayor, are about to give an update on what they know about the plane crash into the Potomac. Let's have a listen.
Welcome and thank you for being here. Joining me today, I'm John Donnelly, Chief of the District of Columbia Fire and EMS Department, and I'm representing the Unified Command Team that is operating today. I'm joined today by Deputy Mayor Lindsay Appiah, Metropolitan Police Department Executive Assistant Chief Jeff Carroll, Clint Osborne, the Homeland Security and Emergency Management Agency Director for the District of Columbia, the Military District Washington, the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority, both the fire and police chiefs, the United States Coast Guard, the Maryland State Police, the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, and the Virginia State Police. And I'd like to thank all of them for being here as well. We are here at Reagan National Airport with our Unified Command Team, and we will provide an update on where recovery efforts stand. We'll also give more information about the cadence of updates from Unified Command going forward. I'm joined today by Terry Lyric from the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority and the other members of the Unified Command Team. As we continue to learn more about the victims, we are sharing our prayers and condolences with the families of the loved ones and those who were lost in this tragedy. And I want to thank again our response teams for their heroic efforts over the past 30 or so hours, including the team on this site, as well as the teams that are supporting the families. This is heartbreaking work. The National Transportation Safety Board is leading the investigation into what happened, and they will be providing updates later this afternoon. We will not be talking about the investigation in this conference. So Terry Lyric from the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority will now provide an update on airport operations, and then I will update you on the activities since our last briefing and the activities over the next operational period.
Thank you, Chief. Again, my name is Terry Lyric. I'm the Vice President Airport Manager of Reagan National Airport. I just kind of wanted to give an update on where we stand. As we know, the airport is open and operating. We are in a reduced capacity and a reduced arrival rate due to the proximity of the recovery site. We do have 2 of our 3 runways that are closed. So as always, we do want to encourage passengers to reach out to their airlines for any potential flight delays. Typically a full schedule here at National Airport would encompass about 800 flights a day using those 3 runways. We've had several, obviously, cancellations yesterday. Airlines are resuming as much as possible normal operations. I think we have about 100 flights or so canceled today. I do want to just recognize a lot of the airport teams who work behind the scenes, and we are here to support and coordinate with the ongoing recovery efforts, as well as working with NTSB in their investigation. With that, I'll just turn over my remarks to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. So overnight, our teams continued search operations and surface work, including side sonar scanning, shoreline searches, and aerial searches. Also, 2 Coast Guard cutters have arrived on station, and you may be able to see them out there on the water. Other efforts off-site included the NTSB, American and PAL Airlines, and district officials meeting with families at the Family Assistance
Is this dude
Center
drunk or
and
what?
providing the support that they need to get through this horrible event. We've identified 41, or we have recovered 41 sets of remains, and 28 of those victims have been positively identified. And as of 6 a.m. this morning, next of kin notifications have been made to 18 families. Going forward with our recovery operations, search teams will continue to work the site. We'll do side sonar scanning, searching the shoreline, and aerial operations. Our dive teams are working in targeted areas, and additional Coast Guard assets will arrive this afternoon. The salvage crews have begun to arrive on the scene, and they're assessing the work that's going to be needed to recover the aircraft from the water. We expect those operations to begin no later than tomorrow afternoon. The teams are also working the shoreline down the river, as we do expect some debris to be dragged by the current. And if members of the public believe they have information or have discovered potential wreckage, we're asking you not to touch it and to call 911, and we will send somebody out to get it. Supporting the response team. This has been a tough response for a lot of our people. We've had over 300 responders operating at one time, and I think we've got about 500 people that have worked through the site. So the Unified Command has activated peer support for its first responders to make sure that everybody has somebody that can help us get through this. And the outpouring of support, people like the World Central Kitchens relief team and many of the local restaurants, the restaurants here at the airport have supported the people working, making sure they have food so they don't have to stop. And I want to thank the rest of the community for their outpouring of support and the messages that they have given to the firefighters, police officers, military officials, and everybody else that's working. If you want to help, the Greater Washington Community Foundation has a relief fund. You can donate at the link above. We also be careful, avoid your fundraising scams, only trust
now,
verified sources, and ways you can help is to amplify that message using trusted sources on social media. Exercise patience through the transition as this impacts the region. Things like the delays at the airport, people are going to need your grace. I know we've got a lot of vehicles around. We've got some areas closed that are normally open to the public around the river, and we need your patience in that. Check in on your friends and neighbors. And if you're feeling anything about this event, please call the crisis hotline, talk to a medical professional, and you can use 988 on your phone. What do we got here? Is that the last one?
It sounds like you can't wait to get this
So
over
with
with.
that, we're going to be able to take a few questions. I'm going to start over here and we'll work our way across. 1, 2, 3. Yes, sir. So the question is, can anybody talk about the FAA's decision to restrict flights in and around National Airport? That's probably beyond the scope of this interview. You'll have to be later, and that's something I might ask them. Yeah. The question was, given the time that has passed and the conditions outside, do we believe we're going to be able to recover more bodies? And there's a lot of challenges with that. So I'm going to answer that one. I'm going to say that, yes, we expect to recover all of the bodies. We have that's why our teams are still working. We're going to have to work with the salvage company to do some of that work. Yes, sir.
If I may ask a question on behalf of the Reagan National Airport. This is Alex Gabriello with News Nation. A lot of questions now circulating about the crowded airspace surrounding this airport. Also reports about other close calls, including 24 hours before the fatal accident. We've seen the FAA take the position of restricting the airspace, specifically Route 1 and 4 for choppers in this area. What is the airport's position about potentially toning down some of the air traffic around this airport? And should this have been done sooner, specifically the restrictions on the airspace for choppers on Route 1 and 4?
Yeah, sure. The question was regarding air traffic, helicopter routes up and down the Potomac, right? That is an FAA responsibility. The airspace is controlled by the FAA. The airport does not have any responsibility outside of the surfaces of the airport itself.
But most certainly, this has been conversations that you've had, and when it comes to safety for the airport, for the passengers that come in and out of DC.
Absolutely. The FAA does regulate the airport, and we follow all FAA safety regulations. Again, all I can say is the FAA is responsible for the airspace.
Very briefly, a question for the chief. Sir, how long do you expect it to take for the salvage to be removed from the river to recover the bodies and do everything that's necessary to bring closure for these families?
So we're working as fast as we can. I'm not going to be able to give a timeline on that as there's a lot of unknowns. But we hope that we have we have more salvage equipment here tomorrow and that operation could begin then. So next three questions. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, Chief Perry Russell, ABC News. How is weather affecting recovery efforts? Rain today, rain forecast later. What are the elements inside the river? How has all of this affected recovery?
So the question is, how does the weather affect the recovery operation? In my view, it may slow it down slightly, but all of the units out here, all of the people work year round in all conditions. We're going to be careful. We're going to make sure we don't hurt anybody else, but the weather we've seen so far is weather we can work in. If that were to change, that would affect it, but we haven't seen that. I would get one question at a time. Yeah.
You talked earlier about access to the site and to gain access to that area. We don't think that ice was a real problem that day, but the John Glenn has been out of service for some time. Do you have an update on when that vessel can be put back?
So the question is access to the site and the John Glenn is the fireboat for the District of Columbia. So what I referred to on access to the site is things like Gravelly Point being closed and that being lost as a local recreation area while we're working. There was some ice on the river. We made good access to the site with everybody else. The John Glenn, as has been reported, is one of the district's fireboats. It is not the primary asset for this type of operation. And while it's in the shop, it didn't affect anything. And we hope to have it back by this summer. Yes, sir.
Mr. Lyric, I have a follow-up question about the runway closures. Grady Trimble with Fox. So you said 2 of 3 are closed because of their proximity to the crash site.
Yeah.
Can you explain why they remain closed?
Sure, absolutely. So the question is, why are 2 of the 3 runways here at National Airport closed? So if you're familiar with the runway configurations here, we have a main north-south runway, and we have 2 what we call crosswind runways. The 2 crosswind runways, if aircraft were to take off or land over the aircraft recovery sites that is out there right now, those would be impactful to the operation. So we've elected to keep those runways closed.
And to follow up, how long do you expect that to remain the case? And are you saying that if there are still recovery teams in the Potomac, then there's no chance that these 2 runways are going to open? And how does that impact?
Yep, sure. So the question is asking how long we anticipate those runways to be closed. That's a dynamic situation. We've worked with the FAA. I think what we've communicated is we anticipate our expectation is a week. However, we'll reassess on Monday, and as the recovery efforts go, it's a fluid situation, obviously. Yep.
Okay, Paul here and there.
Chief, by talking salvage, can you confirm that you're not going to be able to recover the remaining bodies until you're able to get the fuselage off the floor of the river and onto a barge? And then my follow-up to that is, are you making an effort today to get into the helicopter and recover those 2 bodies?
So the question is, do we believe we have to lift the aircraft out of the water in order to finish and find the rest of the remains? And the second part of the question was, are we focused on the helicopter today? And the answer to the first question is yes. I believe for us to recover the rest of the remains that we are going to need to get the fuselage out of the water. The second part of the question is yes, a lot of our operations, not all of them, but a lot of our operations today are focused on the helicopter. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, this question is for Mr. Miller. I'm about Topside BC. Can you confirm sufficient staffing moving forward in the tower? I don't know if that's in your scope or if that's.
It's not. So the question was regarding staffing in the air traffic control tower. That's outside my scope of responsibility.
Can you talk a little bit about the toll on your teams, specifically how many people still remain? I know on day 1 there were upwards of 300 mutual aid. Who's still out there?
So, this is an incident where even if it doesn't affect you right now, it's probably going to affect you later. It'll be something that you think about. So in emergency services across the board, we have support teams. The National Capital Region, all of the departments do. So they've been activated. The International Association of Firefighters regional peer support team has been activated to help support. And the incident management team, as they rotate responders through the scene, are making sure that there are opportunities for them to get the assistance they need. I'm going to ask the Virginia State Police to talk about the peer support he's doing a little bit.
I'm First Sergeant Blank with the State Police in Virginia. We are working with our partners. MWA is leading the support for the effort for peer support, but I'm here in support of that effort. And we have several regional partners that are contributing to that, including mental health professionals who are on site from ANOVA and from a nonprofit in the area that are providing support. The Virginia Law Enforcement Assistance Program is also planning to send support, and all of the most of the public safety agencies in the region are providing personnel to assist with that effort.
Yes, ma'am.
Marielle Carver with DC News Now. I know that this is an unpleasant question for you, Chief, but we've been hearing reports from people that live along the river and potentially seeing partial remains coming up on shore. People are seeing. Is that anything you're hearing? Or is that way of keeping people away from the shore?
So we're not keeping anybody away from the shoreline for any of those reasons. If we've closed off an area like Gravelly Point here, it's because we have emergency access vehicles coming in and out, and we need the access to the river. We have received some 911 calls about either debris or remains. I don't know that we've actually found any remains. We've certainly picked up debris from those 911 calls. So we're going to do 3 more and go 1, 2, and 3 in the back. Yes, sir.
Enjoy.
Jonathan Kersley from Channel 9 Australia. This is a question from Terry. Terry is Vice President and Manager of this airport. What concerns have you had specifically about the congested airspace? And have you ever raised those directly with the FAA?
So again, the United States airspace is the safest in the world. Safety is one of our top priorities, and we continue to ensure that the airport is safe for operations.
Follow up on that, it wasn't safe in this instance. There have been near misses here before. You would have been made aware of those as manager of this airport. Have you raised concerns with the FAA about the congested airspace around Washington?
Yeah, I can say again, we work with the FAA. We're regulated by the FAA. We comply with all FAA safety regulations.
But that doesn't answer the question.
Yes, sir.
Dave Shepard, can you talk about how much debris has been removed in Hangar 7? At some point, will that operation be transitioned to a private company, ATSB? Will hire or will you guys actually solve it?
So that's an investigation question and appropriate for NTSB this afternoon.
Take 2 more.
Yes, sir.
Tom Rasmussen, I had a question for Terry as well. As far as the airport took a position against adding extra long-distance flights out of here. And one of the concerns was there's just too much already going on. Do you maintain those concerns because they're supposed to start in the next few months? Are you concerned about safety as those extra flights start?
Yep, thanks, Tom. So the question was regarding the additional slots to DCA. As you know, the slots are federally controlled, federally mandated, and we have to follow federal regulations.
Are you still concerned about it? I mean, the airport's authority was concerned at the time.
Yes, again, we have to follow the federal regulations on the slot control. So.
I agree.
Hi, Jim Stone. Yeah, here, one more question for you. You're talking about the FAA, Congress, federally mandated, et cetera. Where does the buck stop with this accident and ensuring that the next flight take off from this runway is safe?
So again, the question is really directed to the FAA and Congress, I believe.
Yeah. One last question's right here.
You have 41 victims recovered. Are you confident in the location of the others? Where are they? Are you confident that you know where they are?
So I think we know where they are. We won't know until we're done. I mean, we're going to continue this search operation, but we've searched a large portion of this river, and we are right there. So, I didn't read. So the question, let me answer the question again, or let me restate the question, sorry. The question was, are we confident we know where the other remains are? And that it couples with the question about removing the aircraft. I believe that when we remove the aircraft, that will help us resolve this number. If it doesn't, we will continue the search. Okay.
That's the process. You take the salvage, the fuselage out, you're going to put it on a, just reiterate that process, what that looks like. Removing it, putting it on a barge, is that right?
So some of that isn't decided yet. We'll have to see what the salvage team is doing once they get all of their equipment here. So we may have more on that tomorrow, but so I don't know the exact process today. So thank you all for coming today. We hopefully we answered your questions. We are going to do this again tomorrow. I don't have the time yet, but we will push that out so we can provide the same type of update. Thank you.
Well, that was the DC Fire and EMS Chief John Donnelly, just giving an update there while supported by some other officials from the DC area on the recovery effort in the Potomac as the investigation continues into exactly what went wrong that led to the deaths of 67 people in that mid-air collision just a day ago. Saying there that US airspace continues to be safe. The work is difficult, it's challenging, but they're doing all they can.
Actually, let me just pause it. I just kind of want to show you what the airspace looks like from the above. You see that, right? You see that? That's a hot mess of aircraft. This is Washington. And when you hit the aircraft, it'll give you the information of that aircraft. So that one that I've just clicked on there is a Delta airline aircraft. So you can get a lot about your flight information. Let's see who is that one. Let's see if we can find a helicopter. Who is this? So this is a Black Hills Life flight operated by Air Methods. So that's a Air Ambo thing. Nope, come back. And then if you want to find the path, it clearly hasn't got one at the moment. Let's find one that's got a path. So it'll give you the path as well. So we often follow these. If we're following a manhunt, we'll often have the police helicopter, you know, the news helicopter, Killer Colorado. What's that one? That's a HeliQuest. Let's see if we've got any military ones on the run. Here we go. Care Flight of the Rockies. That's another air ambulance. Busy today, guys. Who's that? This is one of the most tracked flights. Where is that going? They don't want to disclose what that one is, but you can see its little path here. I always find this quite fascinating when we're watching because then we can see exactly what it is that they're doing. That's an English Air Service helicopter. And that's come from over here. Border? So yeah, if we're following a case and it's a manhunt and it's out in the middle of where the hell ever, this is where you'll see us. I have this running all the time in the background. Do you want to have a look at London? Hang on. Let's bring this little map in. Papua New Guinea. Oh my God, look at that. They look like swarms of bloody what do you calls, don't they? what's the word I'm looking for? Swarms of it's not gonna let me. It's not gonna let me bloody. Is it gonna make me go left or right? Let's see. Right, let's come out. It won't let me. It won't zoom out far enough. Probably making you bloody dizzy now, aren't I? Belize, all these places, Uruguay, Falkland Islands. Nothing over these parts. Look. Antarctica. Oh, there's one there. Let alone some little plane. It's not letting me zoom in. It's lonesome, it is. It's all one that's lonesome. We're just going round the world and the Indian Ocean. It's quite unnerving, isn't it? It's quite unnerving at how many aeroplanes are up in the sky. I'm not gonna lie. Look at that. Even the Indian Ocean is quite busy, you know. Finland, Sweden, Norway. Well, no wonder we couldn't see the bloody United Kingdom. Look at it. It's under all of those aeroplanes. You can't see the United Kingdom because it's swimming under aeroplanes. Hang on, let's zoom in a bit. That's where Trump wants to buy. Oh, fucking hell. Wait, let me zoom in. Come on, don't be mean. Wait, now I've lost us. There we are. It's better. Don't look so busy now. That one's a Jet 2 going from Budapest to Leeds, heading home then. Jet 2. Flex Jet. Private jet, that is. Transavia. KLM to Amsterdam. Amsterdam to Munich even. What's going on there? It doesn't look so busy when you zoom in, does it? And then whoosh. So there you go. There you go. That's what the flight radar does. You can track anyone. You can get the name of the aircraft. So, you know, when they were flying home Liam Payne's body, this is how they tracked it. When they were flying Brian Koberger, so that they could have him back in Idaho, this was the platform that people would be watching to track what was going on. Now, there was just something I wanted to... The main points. It's a different sort of mystery tour I've just given you. So American Airlines, let me just change that so you can... well, I just give you this bit of information that's... Just keep that on there for now. Before we go... So American Airlines is retiring flight 5342 after the collision. So they're not going to use the flight number basically anymore, following the deadly collision that killed 67 people. They will resume the service from Wichita, and they have done, from Wichita to Washington, but it is not going to be known as that. And the first new flight is going to be known as AA 5677. There's a lot of people that have died, and I have done a video, and I will post that out. I did that this morning, and there may be more to do. It was quite a lengthy one anyway. It was like 4 minutes. So I will post that on my TikTok rather than going through all of those names. But I mean, those names are out there. The sad thing is for me is that there was children on this flight, children that had the world ahead of them. They had so much to look to. They were aspiring athletes, figure skaters, and they were being taught by the best. And now that's gone. Some of the parents were with them. So for some people, they've lost their children and their wives, or their children and their husbands. It's just, you just never know what tomorrow's going to bring. It's very, very, it is tragic. And when you hear Donald Trump trying to, win politics over it, using politics, and that kind of infuriates me a bit, because it's not time, not the place. And I'll say it again, and I'll say it loud, Donald Trump, you're a knob, and come for me if you wish. But, when you give a speech like that, you should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed. No president should be swearing in the White House, given a press conference on such a serious matter. If you were a content creator on YouTube like I am, I can call you a knob because I'm just a content creator and I'm not anything special. You're supposed to be something special, and you've just embarrassed yourself and your country. Sorry for all the Americans that love Donald Trump, but he is an embarrassment. He is a liability. And I dread what's coming for the future of my friends in the US, because I've got some friends out there and I feel for them strongly. You've got an idiot in charge of your country. Yeah, he's a fucking turd feather. But this is not the time or the place for your politics, Mr. Trump. This is the time for learning and reflection and getting the answers and not going off course. When your people write your scripts for you, that's why they write them, so you don't look like an idiot, but you went off, didn't you? And had to do your own thing. And at the expense of this tragedy, you brought politics into it where politics wasn't required. So the main thing is now is everything that is unfolding. Like I said, we now know things that we didn't know. And the points to end on with the updates that we've got is that air traffic control have said that a air traffic controller left early, leaving the other one to do two jobs. It would have been too early for that person to clock off, but for whatever reason, that person was given permission to finish work early. So probably going to lose their job for that. And so is the person that let them off. And probably if they've got any mental health or physical disabilities, Trump will have them out of there either, rather than looking at the situation and trying to guess how they came to the conclusion that it was safe for that person to finish early and investigate it, put things in place, lessons to learn. No, we'll just get rid of them. They're going to feel bad enough as it is, let alone having that on their shoulders. The victims are being named, and I will post my video on TikTok and then it will come over here. I'm just trying to, I've obviously got to put them out sporadically, because if they all go out at once, there's just no point in me having put them out there. Now we know there's no survivors of the 67 people that have died. That's 3 from the Black Hawk, and the rest are on the passenger plane. And we know that the figure skaters were on that plane. So when you're watching all this stuff, there's going to be a lot of stuff. Take it with a pinch of salt. There's going to be conspiracy theories. There's going to be some theories that you might think, because there's been a couple of things. I've seen the prediction, and I'm not a prediction person, but even I went, oh my God. And there's going to be things that are being said by different people, and some of them will have some really good value in them, but somewhere in the middle is the facts, and we're going to try and stick to the facts. But if there is something that I think, we'll talk about it. So I will keep uploading some videos from time to time on here. Depending on how this goes, we might do another live on this, we may not, but we'll see. I've got one. I'm just holding off to doing a live on the Husty sisters. I want to see if I can wait until they're both been recovered. As we know, a body has been found, and we have to wait for confirmation. So I am just holding off for that. So I've posted a video on that on here for those following that case. But I will do a live on the Husty sisters. Ideally, I'd like to have them both found, because then that'll be the last point that I will be covering on that case. But if anything else is coming of this, and I'm sure there will be, that I'm sure there'll be more lives, then I will come back on and of course do lives. But in the meantime, in between, you'll get some videos. So do be sure to make sure that you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and comment. If you comment, have a chat with each other in the comment section. That helps me massively in the algorithm, and I appreciate everyone that does that. I want to thank you all for the super chat, super stickers, the buy me a coffees, all the ways in which everyone is supporting me. I appreciate every single person, even people, when you're just coming in and you're engaging and chatting with each other, everything that you can do just is really helpful, to help obviously get these things seen, and people watching. So I appreciate every single one of you, and a massive shout out to the mods that are always here, support me in the back there, cheering me on and keeping my head afloat sometimes when I think I'm sinking. They look after me, and I appreciate them for that as well. So got some great friends along the way, great mods along the way. Great. We've got some great content coming. Well, I hope it's great. I think it's great for you. I try and make it great, but it's coming. And I will see you on TikTok live in just a bit. I'm just going to decide what we're going to do now, because I'm pretty sure I don't know if we want to be talking about this again this evening. There's some other things that we can be chatting about. So, but I'll see. But thank you all for coming. I appreciate every single one of you. Love you all. And I will be back again very, very, very soon. Bye for now.